You should not wait for the big Model Y Juniper refresh. Tesla has a new secret option, or actually a couple of new secret options that might be a way better way for you to go and save a ton of money. Look, I'm a huge fan of the upcoming Model Y Juniper refresh. I cover it on this channel all the time, but in this video, taking a different approach, different spin here, by breaking down 3 alternatives in the Tesla world to the Model Y Juniper, because it might just be a better option for you. This video is gonna be, I already know, extremely controversial, so you can drop a comment down below if you disagree, but hear me out, let me explain. Let me just start things off though with a quick second of important context, because in case you missed the news and you don't know what Model Y Juniper is, it's just the big Model Y refresh that's happening hopefully late 2024, early 2025 seems more likely. Basically, this is gonna bring all the stuff from the new Model 3 to the Model Y. So RGB ambient lighting, ventilated seats, new exterior design. We've got shots of the new light bar on the outside, the interior with the ventilated seats, rear screen. It's going to be a really big upgrade. And if you're set on the Model Y, like this is what you want, then it's probably gonna be in your best interest to wait for it because this will be a better upgrade. But I think most people should look at 3 other options in the Tesla world. I'm not telling you to go buy a Rivian or a Chevy, stay in Tesla, but look at 3 other options before you decide to park your money and park your butt and wait for a Model Y Juniper refresh, which we still don't even know when it's coming. Now, before I give you my couple of alternatives here, a couple of things I want to say to kick things off, because I do think there's a little bit of additional context here. 2 big warnings with Model Y Juniper, at least something to keep in mind. First, as great as the new Juniper refresh is going to be, and I'm a big advocate of the features coming, we don't know how price is going to change. We don't know if price is going to go up. Likely prices won't go down. We just don't know. And if you're banking on the tax credit and sort of trying to budget a new vehicle purchase around current prices, things will likely change. So sort of take that as you will, however you want to sort of do your budgeting, and also just sort of keep in mind that prices will change. So that's maybe one of the reasons not to wait, is because pricing will likely not be as good as it is right now. And also the launch timeline is very much up in the air. While there is a chance we see this, at least an announcement before the end of the year, a launch of this vehicle likely won't take place until Q1 of 2025. And if Tesla follows a similar path of the Model 3, the US, or the North American market, can be 6 months behind other parts of the world. So even if all goes swimmingly and according to plan and there are no delays, you might not be able to get a Model Y Juniper in the US until the summer, or no matter where you are, there might be some different timetable of wherever you are in the world. So keep in mind that the Juniper thing is not happening on January 1st, 2025. There's likely going to be some delay with the rollout based off of where you are. So just a couple of things to keep in mind here as you consider waiting for the Juniper refresh, or in this video, I'll make the case why there are a couple of other alternatives you should definitely consider. I think this list gets more controversial the more I go in this video, so let me start things off with one point that I don't think is controversial, but I do think is sort of worth reiterating, and that is to look at the Model 3. The reason I say that is that if you don't need a hatchback, you can get basically an objectively better car right now for, in some cases, maybe a cheaper price. Tesla's got some insane specials going on, financing rates, lease specials. Right now they're advertising like this $0 down, drive away same day in some cases for a Model 3, and you're getting all the creature comforts of a new Tesla that you'd want right now. RGB ambient lighting, ventilated seats, new design, you're getting the rear screen, you're getting the new AC system, you're getting a better screen, better suspension, quieter cabin. I have just been shocked every time I step foot in a Model 3, the new one, and do a test drive or get to drive it around for a little bit, because I'm reminded every time just how much better it is than the current Model Y and the older Model 3 that I've got. And I know many might be quick to immediately write it off and dismiss it and think, I need the Model Y, I need the more space, I'm not gonna look at the Model 3. But I should say that if you haven't looked at a Model 3, or it's been a while, I would go do a test drive, because it costs you nothing, it's 100% free, and it might just change your mind, because again, the handling, the space, the versatility of the Model 3 is really nice. And again, you might not need the space in the Model Y that you think you do, and you might just be better off with a Model 3. I'm telling you, these new Model 3s are very competitively priced, lots of great deals on them right now, and the tech and all the features they offer are really, really compelling. Basically gets you all the benefits of the new Model Y without having to wait at all, like 6 more months. You can just get it right now, and in some cases, drive it home the same day. Now, I should mention another way you can go, and one of the reasons why you might not want to go with a Model Y Juniper, wait for that model, is because you could go with this right here. Not this specific car, but what this specific car represents, which is going with a used Tesla, maybe a used Model 3, which in a lot of cases, we've never seen better prices on these vehicles, and they do have some unique advantages over the new Model Y and what that's supposed to bring. And what you'd be looking at on the used market is something very similar to basically this. And what's funny is with Model 3s and even Model Ys, you really can't tell from the outside what year it is. I guess the older ones, sort of pre-2020, have the chrome, unless you had an aftermarket chrome delete. But this, for example, here is a 2022 Model 3. This is the base rear-wheel drive model, which I guarantee you can find on the used market. And even the older ones, 2018, 2019 Model 3s, are going to look a whole lot like this and actually give you a lot for the price, especially the relatively low price. Now, of course, there are downsides to buying any used vehicle, but I should say with Teslas in particular, they've actually got a lot more advantages than disadvantages. If you're going with a 2018, 2019 Tesla, don't immediately write it off, because not only can you get it for that discounted price, but also these older vehicles have a lot of benefits that you won't find in the newer ones, and also are very comparable in a lot of ways. For example, this 2022 Model 3 happened to be right before the cutoff of Tesla removing these right here, which are ultrasonic sensors, which means its ability to sort of recognize its surroundings, especially when it comes to parking, is infinitely better, still to this day, than the built-in camera vision system that the newer Teslas rely on. And like I mentioned a moment ago, Tesla really hasn't made too many changes to the Model 3 before they did the big Highland refresh. So from the outside, you wouldn't be able to tell this was an older Model 3. Same goes for the Model Y as well. If you're looking at a brand new 2024 Model Y versus one from 2020, you really couldn't tell the difference, because not really anything has changed on the exterior for better or worse. And no matter how you might feel about Tesla, I still feel like this is a pretty nice, sleek looking vehicle. It's got all the Tesla design DNA and characteristics, and you couldn't tell this thing, for example, was a 2018 model that's now, what, 6 years old? Looks the same. And while I definitely think this is a great alternative, I also know the other side to this is some fear and uncertainty about buying a used EV, because the last thing you want to do is think you're getting a great deal and then get a nightmare because the battery in your used EV is shot. That is something I see over and over again. Luckily, I've got a totally free resource here to help you, give you the info you need to know, especially if you're looking to buy a used EV, and that is from my friends over at Recurrent. Now, I love Recurrent for many reasons. They've got great tools for EV owners, potential owners, those looking to even sell their EV. I'll get into it in a moment, but for this video, it actually perfectly fits, because they've got the ability for free on their website to run a one-time report where you pop in a VIN and then you're able to see sort of the Recurrent range score and the breakdown of the health of the EV battery. And as we know, that is sort of one of the most important parts, if not the most important part of an EV. And when you buy used EV, you want to make sure the health of that battery is as good as possible, and Recurrent is here to help you do that totally for free. Now, beyond that, if you take ownership of that EV, or if you own an EV right now, they've got a totally free monthly battery report that is delivered to your inbox every single month that'll give you some great insight into the health of your EV battery. You see how things like your temperature outside could help or hurt your range. You can see how your charging habits can affect the range of your battery, and just overall get a really nice consolidated picture of how the health of your EV's battery is trending, whether that's in the right direction or the wrong direction, and you've got some adjustments you need to make. And if you're looking to sell your EV, Recurrent is going to get you hooked up to those who are interested in buying your EV, and also those who understand sort of the premium value that comes with the health of an EV battery, and they might even be able to get you some more money for the sale of your EV as well. A couple of simple clicks, no muss or fuss, and you just get offers you can accept or ignore. You don't have to worry about 5 million spam calls. I honestly cannot think of a company in this space doing more for the consumer than Recurrent. They've got these totally free tools. They are really trying to advocate on consumers' behalf. They're trying to educate companies on the importance and value of a healthy EV battery. And also, for those looking to sell, they're trying to sort of advocate on your behalf and showing these bigger companies the value of a healthy battery and how a vehicle shouldn't be written off just because it's a little old, especially if the battery is in tip-top shape. I love Recurrent, love what they're doing for the EV community, love their free tools. So if you want to learn more and get started for yourself today, sign up for the totally free monthly battery report. Hit the link down below and check it out for yourself today and let me know how you're liking it. And also, again, as we're talking about buying a used EV in this video, use that one-time report tool, totally free, and they're also going to help you get some incentives coming your way as well and get you hooked up with some info you need to know if you qualify based off where you are. So again, learn more, check out for Recurrent for yourself today. Link down below. Love the team over at Recurrent. It's essentially the same story for the interior of the vehicle as well. Model Ys are going to have either the wood or white dashboard. Interior is basically the same. Now, some older Model 3s do have some small cosmetic changes. For example, Tesla did change out the center console in the early Model 3s with one that's a little bit newer, like this one right here. They added this wood trim paneling and made some minor adjustments, but by and large, it's basically the same car. Back is going to be the same as well. Trunk space, front space, all that, it's the same. This vehicle also does retain physical stocks, which you will not be able to find in any of the newer Teslas. The new Model 3 is totally stockless, Model S, Model X Cybertruck, and of course, new Model Y Juniper expected to ditch the stocks as well. So if you're a fan of the physical hardware here for stocks, that's one of the advantages to one of these older Teslas. And then probably what is the biggest advantage of one of these older Teslas is that from a software sense, you're basically getting all of the exact same features. Really, the only difference here would be some of the older Teslas from pre-2020 that are using the Intel Atom processor. Those don't get like this new fancy graphic here for controlling your car in park, which arguably isn't a huge deal, but it is something to keep in mind. And also the Zoom app. If you've got an older Tesla with the Intel Atom processor, you won't be able to make videos in your car, which some might argue is a better thing than having the ability to actually do it. And if you're looking at a used Tesla and you're curious, you can head in here to the software tab, go to additional vehicle information, and then you can see what the processor is of the vehicle. There's the AMD Ryzen processor in this one. Other Teslas have the Intel Atom. The difference, again, it's not a huge deal. The newer processor is faster for loading apps, but really the main thing is there are just some UI elements that you won't be able to get on that more slower, underpowered processor. But even with that being said, all the core functionality is still there. You can still do full self-driving. You still have all your different media apps. You still get regular software updates. From a software side, you couldn't tell if this was a 2020 or a 2024. You couldn't tell that I paid $15,000 for this car or $55,000. I mean, from a software sense, you're getting the same screen, basically same speakers. All of this stuff is the same, and you're getting the exact same Tesla experience, which is really nice. Credit to Tesla for sort of supporting these vehicles as long as they have. And again, you're getting all the same stuff you'd want, which is really cool. If I can close this, there we go. I can do all my Tesla stuff on here. And while some have their qualms with Tesla for their build quality and issues they've had, I'd argue that for a used vehicle, especially in the price that you can find these used vehicles, it's actually really comfortable. You've got the vegan leather interior, you've got good AC, you've got comfortable seats, you've got a good sound system, especially in the long range and performance versions, you've got a wireless charger here for your phone. Like, I'm just looking around, and while it's not the most modern thing ever, for like a $25,000 vehicle, it's comfy and it's nice. And like I said, autopilot and full self-driving capability is baked in and ready to go. What's also particularly interesting is that based off of when a vehicle like this was purchased, you might be able to get it at a really good deal. For example, I know many people like myself who bought this Tesla, specifically this Model 3, at the worst time of like chip shortages back in the fall of 2022. Around that time, that way overpaid for it and would love to get rid of it and just get some of their money back. So whether you go with Tesla directly through their used inventory or go with the dealership, that's the thing with used Teslas, or even private sale or whatever it is, there are definitely, I think, some deals to be made. But I should mention a couple of the downsides and things to be aware of when looking at a used Tesla. Like I mentioned before, the processor is sort of a thing. You are going to lose some functionality there, and I think that as we see Tesla make updates, you might start to lose some other functionality. Though, again, I should reiterate, the things you're missing these days are very small. A UI change and zoom aren't exactly a big deal, especially when you still get full self-driving and autopilot capability, so that's not a huge deal. Now, just like I mentioned a moment ago, the difference between there's an Intel chip and an AMD chip, the other kind of difference that I think is not a huge deal, but for some people it's worth mentioning, is the difference in hardware for cameras. So some of the more modern Teslas, I think it's 2023, 2024, the timelines are a little weird on when Tesla does it, but those are the hardware 4 vehicles. So those have the latest and greatest cameras that Tesla has to offer, while this vehicle, 2022 and before, these are hardware 3. Basically, all that means is that the camera quality is a little bit better for Sentry mode, dash cam, stuff like that. And then also, if you're really big into full self-driving, we're already starting to see Tesla sort of prioritize hardware 4 over hardware 3. Now, we're still very much in the early days, and I don't think you should solely make your decision on spending an extra, whatever, X amount of $1,000 just to get hardware 4 over hardware 3. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but if you are like super into full self-driving and you want to have the latest and greatest and you want to really maximize your investment, if you can find a hardware 4 vehicle that is going to give you a little bit more life out of those features as opposed to a hardware 3 system. At least those are the sort of the signals we're seeing from Tesla right now. But like I mentioned a moment ago, I think in a lot of ways, almost the pros here outweigh the cons. And if you can find one of these used Teslas, whether it's a Model 3, Model Y, even an S or an X, but I think the Model 3 and Model Y are going to be better just with the hardware they've currently got, you're getting a really good, compelling price and package of a vehicle. You're getting a very technologically advanced vehicle. You're getting, a little bit of an older design, but still all the creature comforts you'd really want and expect. You're still getting regular software updates, and it's still a modern car. What's so interesting about this is, it's still, a 3 or 4 year old vehicle, which isn't super old, but in the world of Tesla and how technology changes, there are usually a lot of deals to be had on Teslas a couple of years old. So definitely, I think, worth considering that maybe if you're waiting for the Model Y Juniper and you've got a checklist, take a look at what you can find on the used market for a Y or a 3, because I think right now, especially, there are good deals to be had, and you're really not missing out on a whole lot going the used route. You can still take advantage of a bunch of incentives and stuff like that, and in a lot of cases, I think still get a really good car that checks most of your boxes and also save just a ton of money in the process. Right, and reason number 3 I wouldn't suggest waiting is that you can actually upgrade your current Tesla now and add a lot of the features you'd want for a fraction of the price. I've seen more and more photos and videos floating around the internet over the last couple of weeks of people doing some really interesting mods to their Tesla. Like this guy here in his Model Y put in a bracket that allows the screen to swivel back and forth, which sort of seems dumb, but I'll tell you, in the Model X, once you have a screen that's oriented towards you, it's really, really nice, and I don't want to go without it. And other things you'd want, like the RGB ambient lighting and the rear display and lots of other parts of the new Model Y can actually be put in aftermarket for a pretty inexpensive amount. And a lot of these might seem a little complicated, but I think they're actually pretty easy to do yourself. I know there's even like third-party shops that will either help you buying this or even just do the whole install for you, again, for a lot less than a new car. And honestly, if you're happy with the car you've got right now, maybe it's a current Model Y, you can upgrade it in a lot of ways and get a lot of the creature comforts you'd probably want. Now, there's some stuff you won't be able to add. You could change the rear design if you wanted to, but that's not something you could easily change. You can't change ventilated seats, and you couldn't add in new cameras. But besides that, RGB ambient lighting, rear display, the dashboard material and other things you could do yourself and really upgrade your Tesla if you want to go that route. There's actually a lot you could do on the aftermarket side. And if you spent like $1,000 or you put $1,000 or $2,000 aside for upgrading your Tesla, that might be a way better use of your money and could drastically sort of improve the car you've already got. All right, guys, so what are your thoughts on all this? Drop a comment down below. Let me know. Are you waiting for Model Y Juniper? Is your mind going to be changed? Let me know down below. And if you made it to the very end of this video and you want a free way to win some Amazon money, 3 simple things you got to do. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below, and let me know. And I usually like to do a secret code word for this video, but I'm coming up blank with something to think about to include. Let me look around here for a second. All right. I got something cool. This is a special one. So I went looking around in my studio for knickknacks. So this is actually a commemorative, what would you call it, replica of one of those permanent sort of fixtures at Disneyland on the floor. Here, I'll show you here. My family got one back in 2005. I've got the replica here in my studio. Let's see if the camera will focus. There we go. So you can see that there. So let's make the code word down below Disneyland. Work that in somehow. Do you like Disneyland? Do you not? When was the last time you went? Just work that in your comments somewhere. It can just be at the end, sort of just attached on the end, or if you want to fill it in there somewhere. I know Disneyland and Tesla don't really go together, but this is sort of my memento I'm going to use as my code word for this one because I was out of my line of sight right there, and it's pretty cool. Look at that cool thing. I know they don't. This is for the 50th anniversary Disney thing, and you can go look it up. C16113 if you're in Anaheim, California. Go check that out. Send me a picture. So, yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you all. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you all in the next one.